Hi, my name is Heather McCarty, and I teach in the History Department and the Gender and Women's Studies program. And I also help to co found and co direct the Lytton Center for History and the Public Good. And I'm making this little video today because the email below that you have probably seen this attached to sparked a lot of questions for folks. And some people wanted a little more detail. And so I'm going to go into that in case other people have these questions. And then also, I think probably some people might have some questions in general about what's been going on since President Sasaki shared the fantastic and amazing news that he is committed to finding a way to balance our budget now without using one-time reserves. So let's kind of talk about what all this, has been about. Okay, so here's the issues. The board approved the 2024-25 tentative budget at their board meeting on June 12th. And this budget relies on one-time reserves from our rainy day fund from Fund 69, and then also from taking money from our other post-employee benefits or OPEB monies. And so they were taking those monies to balance the budget. And so I went with faculty and staff colleagues to raise the alarm about this being a bad fiscal practice, and also just really concerned about the fact that we as a college cannot balance our budget despite the fact that we're actually been taking in a surplus. So under the hold harmless provision of our student-centered funding formula, we've been taking in a surplus of funding from the state for thousands of students that we're not serving. We have received funding each year since 2018 for 8,240 full-time equivalent students. We are not serving that many students. We haven't been serving that many students for the past 7 years. And so what that means is we are offering fewer sections, which mean part-time faculty haven't been hired. So the district is saving on those salaries. It means the number of people we need to have in, financial aid and student services and all those other areas that actually service the students as well have also been saved because we haven't need to have those folks working for us. To give you some perspective, since 2018, we have received to date more than $38 million in surplus funding for the thousands of students that we're not serving. So a lot of money has been coming into the district. So we actually should have been building up a surplus, but instead the college is so broke that they need to use one-time reserves to balance the budget. That was very concerning to me and to other faculty and to other staff members. And so we went to the board during public comment to raise our concerns. Mostly we'd like to know, where is the money gone? I believe, and many of my other colleagues believe, that this is going to administrative salaries. We have way too many administrators, at least 14 too many administrators. This is an issue that faculty have been bringing to all of the past 3 presidents. It's issues that the Faculty Senate has been bringing forward to the administration. It's issues that the United Faculty of Ohlone has been bringing forward. It's something faculty's been talking about, but I know maybe other units on campus haven't been talking about it. But we have way too many administrators, and on top of that, they're the highest paid in the entire state of California. So this is causing some financial problems. So this is where we think the money's going. So let's talk about what those one-time reserves that they were a plan to draw down on. So the approved budget right now has them drawing from OPEB monies. So OPEB stands for Other Post-Employee Benefits. And those are just simply non-cash benefits that employees receive after they retire. At Ohlone College, for us, that's your medical health benefits, right? And it actually varies from unit to unit what you receive, depends on what's been negotiated for you. For full-time faculty, if you decide to retire between the ages of 55 and 64, so quote unquote early retirement, then you pay the premium for your health insurance less $450 that's contributed by the district. So whatever your healthcare premium is, you're paying it, but the district will put $450 towards it. Once you actually retire, and you're 65 and over, the district will cover 50% of our Medicare Part A premium if you're ineligible for full coverage due to inadequate Social Security contributions. That's due to the STIR structure. So if you're in STIRS as your retirement system, you stopped paying into Social Security. So if you don't have enough payments in to get your Medicare covered, your Medicare Part A, the district will contribute 50% of that for you. If you are full-time staff and you retire, early retirement, between the ages of 55 and 64, the district will pay the full cost of your employee coverage if you're in what is their Tier 1 group. So full cost, you don't pay anything. And if you're in the Tier 2 group, then you're going to pay, you're going to have a cap. The district will pay up to $950 for you. So because full-time staff are actually making Social Security contributions, they don't have the same 50% Medicare Part A piece that full-time faculty might have if they're in STIRS. Okay, so that's the OPEB money thing. So what's this Fund 69 thing? And they're actually connected. So let's talk about it. So this is from Dr. De La Rosa's tentative budget. And you can see here that it says the Internal Services Fund is established to account for various retirement benefits such as retiree health benefits, contribution to other post-employee benefits or OPEB trust, and employees' volunteer payroll deductions such as Section 125 withholdings. Every year, funds are transferred from General Fund 10, so our main fund, Fund 10, and they get transferred into Fund 69, and they're transferred in here for the purpose of covering the cost of retiree health benefits. This is a pay-as-you-go structure. So each year we take money out of Fund 10 and we put it into Fund 69 so we can pay for those post-employment liability, right? To pay for retiree healthcare. So this is pay-as-you-go model. And it's to make contribution to other post-employment benefits OPEB trust in accordance with the actuarial evaluation. So an actuarial comes in and they make a report. Okay, so funds transferred are treated as an expense to General Fund, Fund 10, and then as revenue to the Internal Services Fund, which is Fund 69. Section 125 program allows employees to set aside a portion of their annual earnings on a before tax basis to be eligible to pay for eligible healthcare and dependent healthcare expenses that they incur during the year. So that's kind of a separate piece of what's going on there. And then this last piece is the compliance piece. In compliance with GASB 43/45, as replaced by GASB 74/75 in 2015, the district performs an actuarial valuation through an external consultant at least every other year to determine its current and future year's obligation related to retiree health benefits. See, so they're all connected. That money in Fund 69 is actually supposed to be going for our OPEB trust to pay for our retiree health benefits. And so this is why this fund is set up, and this is the purpose of the fund. The latest rollover actuarial study performed as of June 30th, 2023, estimated total OPEB liability at $6,864,340. The portion of this liability that has already been funded and set aside in other post-employment benefit trust as of June 30th, 2023 was $5,571,729, with a net OPEB liability of, as you can see, just over 1.3 million, or just under 1.3 million. This means that the total OPEB liability was 81.2% funded as of June 30th, 2023, compared to over 80.7% funded liability on June 30th, 2022. The district is currently in the process of conducting another interim evaluation as of June 30th, 2024, which is expected to be completed in the next few months. So just to give you perspective, the point is that you put all this money into your trust and that the interest in your trust is growing each year to cover your liability. That's the whole point. So we want to be fully funded so that we don't have to keep funding it anymore, that the interest it earns can make it a self-funding account. That's the idea. That's the dream. That's what we're working towards. We're, not there. We're not at 100%, 81% is where we're at right now. That fluctuates also because market values fluctuate and sometimes things go up, sometimes things go down. So that's the fund. And here's the problem. This is the piece that is alarming to me and to others. And others on the budget committee who serve with me on the budget committee are also concerned about this piece. In the fiscal year 2024 to 25, the district does not intend to make any contribution to the OPEB trust, but will fund the pay-as-you-go portion of its OPEB liability by drawing down on the irrevocable OPEB trust. The pay-as-you-go portion of the OPEB liability is projected to be, and you can see how much they're saying, $268,540 for that fiscal year. And so their plan is basically just to use the interest that's already occurred to make the quote-unquote contribution for this year. So they are not planning to pay as they go. That is not their plan. They're going to do that by drawing down on the interest. It's a very bad fiscal practice. We are not funded at 100%. We should not be doing that. And so that's really the first concern. The first concern is the district is drawing down from our OPEB funds before that obligation is fully funded in order to balance the budget. And that's concerning, right? That is a concerning thing. Why can't we balance the budget? We have millions of dollars in surplus that's been coming in over for the past 7 years. So let's talk more about Fund 69 because this is kind of the other piece that's alarming. So Fund 69 also accounts for the $4.6 million of general fund monies that the Board of Trustees set aside in fiscal year 2017-2018 to help cover the district's rising pension obligation, including STRS, PERS, and OPEB. The district plans to transfer $533,405 from Fund 69 to Fund 10 to help cover the expected increase in STRS and PERS, the employer contribution in 24-25. But as you can see, this below table describes the activities of the fund since its inception in 2017-2018. And I'll draw your attention here. This is them taking money out of Fund 69. And they're taking money out of Fund 69 to pay for these increases in STRS and PERS. And if we had the whole point of this fund when it was set up was for it to be like if we had a crazy emergency increase, but mostly it's really supposed to be for OPEB monies. That was the whole point, is that that's the model for Fund 69. That's what its purpose is. And they want to draw down that money, this is the second concern, to cover this increase in STRS and PERS. So every year, just so you know, as you can see on this chart, also from Dr. De La Rosa's budget, STRS and PERS goes up every year. It has been going up every year. Some years it goes up a lot, that's unexpected, and then in other years it goes up just a little bit. Do you know what's happening next year? It's going up just a little bit. You can look right here. Here is for STRS. Last year we estimated that we spent 4.42 million, and this year it's expected to be 4.5 million. And for PERS, it was 5.292 million, and then it's going to be 6.1 million. So this is not a lot of money. In fact, we know exactly how much it is because they're saying they're going to pull $533,405 out. So that's how much money they're going to pull out. That's how much money the STRS and PERS increases have gone up. That is a very reasonable, in fact, I would say low expectation for increases to STRS and PERS obligations. That should not have been a surprise, and we shouldn't need to use rainy day money for it. And so this is what I said here. The district is taking money from our rainy day reserves in Fund 69 to cover what are normal increases to PERS and STRS that should have been accounted for as part of the typical budgeting process. The increases are not unexpected nor unusually high. So that's the second concern. So the concern is using OPEB interest to cover our pay as we go. And then the other piece is this concern over actually taking money out of Fund 69. And this is the third concern. So right here, you're looking at the budget, the tentative budget that was approved by the board at that meeting in June. And you're seeing here, this is the hold harmless funding. So you're seeing this year, we're getting from the state, $5,577,180 for students we're not serving. So why does the district even using our one-time reserve funds and Fund 69 and OPEB monies to balance our budget? We are receiving, again, $5,577,180 for thousands of students we're not serving. Where is that money going? That's the concern. And you can see that this has actually been our trend. We have, this is also from Chris's budget. You can see here when you look at this, here's how much students we're being funded for. As I said before, under hold harmless, we're being funded for 8,240 students, but we're not actually serving that. This is the SCIF funded FTES. So the students we're serving based on sort of the SCIF formula. All of those numbers, as you can see, are less than the 8,000. So here is our hold harmless funding. These are the thousands of students that we have not served, but for which we've been paid. So what we should really have here is a massive surplus budget. And you might be wondering, well, how much money are we talking about? So I took this data and I made my own table, but I actually included the hold harmless funding amounts for each one of those years. So you can see what we took in 2018 and 19, 7 million, 8 million, 7 million, 6 million, 3 million, 5 million, another 5 million, right? We're taking in millions of dollars each year for students we're not serving. This is what's budgeted for the 24-25 year. And if that's right, we will take in almost $44 million since 2018 for students we haven't served. To date, we've taken in more than 38 million for students we've not served. So this should be a budget surplus, but it's not. And that's the concern. So to wrap it up, 3 concerns. Why do we need to use one-time reserves to balance the budget is really kind of the overall theme here. We are 1, drawing down OPEB monies to balance the budget when we have not fully funded our liability. 2, we're using one-time reserve funds from Fund 69 to pay for what are typical PERS and STRS increases. And then 3, we're taking in 38 million to date in surplus under hold harmless, and we'll have taken in 44 million at the end of the 24-25 academic year. So why do we need to use one-time reserves to balance the budget? Thankfully, President Sasaki sent that email on July 5th and says that he is committed to, even though this is the currently approved tentative budget, that our next budget version is not going to be using one-time funds. So I am super relieved to hear that, and I hope everyone else is as relieved and is thankful that President Sasaki is taking a look at this and realizing that we cannot take money from Fund 69 and we cannot be drawing down on our OPEB trust. And so that was really great news to hear. So very excited about that. I will look forward to see what comes in the future. And I encourage you to watch the other 2 videos on administrative bloat and on the high salaries of our administrators to get a better sense of where that, $44 million is going.